This is a short review for a short game, so I'll skip the usual introduction and get straight to the summary. Keeper is an interesting game that relies entirely on its beautiful art and unique concept to narrate an entire story without using any dialogue. With a runtime of between 3 to 5 hours, it combines simple puzzles with the absurdity of controlling a walking lighthouse to keep the gameplay interesting. However, if you don't immediately connect with the concept, the pace might feel a bit too slow. And while the puzzles aren't anything too complex, they are limited by how fast the lighthouse moves, which isn't very fast. If you're a fan of Double Fine games, or simply want to try a title that you can beat in a single day, Keeper is an easy game to recommend. There are some twists later on that kind of nullify my complaints about speed, but I won't spoil them here, and it doesn't change the fact that the start of the game does take some time to pick up the pace. Now let's get into some details. Minor spoilers ahead, although I don't show anything beyond the first hour, which is already like a third of the game. The story is pretty simple. You're a lighthouse who springs to life due to some mysterious force. You have a pet bird, and you're constantly moving forward to climb a mountain, protecting yourself and the bird along the way. That's pretty much the story you need to know to get started. And even as you keep watching some emotional cutscenes, there are always more questions than answers. Being a wordless tale, the game leaves the story kind of open to interpretation, and that's both the game's strength and its weakness. I enjoyed the twists added along the way, but towards the end, I felt like the game didn't stick the landing. There's a decent ending that feels good thanks to some good music, but I walked away wishing there was a better way to explain what had just happened. Again, that's just open to interpretation, so you might process the experience differently and enjoy it thoroughly. When you're walking around and solving puzzles, you can also run into collectibles. I won't say you pick up collectibles because you're a lighthouse and can't pick up anything. Anyway, once you run into these collectibles, you get an achievement or trophy, but more importantly, you get a small piece of the game's lore, explaining what happened in that area in the past. I didn't unlock all of these, so I won't claim to know the game's story completely now. But this is certainly an interesting way to make achievements feel more meaningful. Apart from the lighthouse and the bird twig, there are a lot of NPCs in the world around you, and while they don't directly affect the story, there are a few levels where interacting directly or indirectly with a few characters is necessary, bringing some variety to the general gameplay. The most difficult part about designing a game like this one is to convey to the player where they need to go without using traditional gameplay tropes like map markers or a character who simply tells you where to go. I'll have to say that all the levels in this game are extremely well designed. Never did I feel stuck or unsure as to where to go. The only times I felt confused was when I had to give a few tries to solve some of the more timing based puzzles. Even there, the general path forward was always visible, and it was more about executing it correctly. The puzzles almost exclusively revolve around using the lighthouse's light bulb, and the bird's ability to grip something or peck using its beak. The puzzles may be limited in variety, but they keep expanding as the game goes on. As someone who generally avoids puzzle games, I even had a YouTube guide ready on hand when I started the game. But here's the best part, I honestly never had to use that guide. I won't say the puzzles are super easy or anything, but they're also not annoyingly complex. This works because most of the time you are boxed into a small area, so you know the solution will be within that area. You are then encouraged to explore the space, and most of the time, the solution will hit you within a few seconds. That's probably the best part about puzzle games in general. When you get the solution, you suddenly feel so smart. This game has a few of those moments, especially towards the end. Keeper looks and feels like a beautiful painting. Double Fine games have always excelled in the art department, and this is no exception. Once you get past the weird part about controlling a lighthouse that has spider legs, you can take the time to look at the world around you. There are multiple biomes, and the transition between them is a brief but abrupt loading screen. When you're inside a level, however, the immersion is never broken with a loading screen, and you move seamlessly between gameplay and cutscenes. This game runs on Unreal Engine, and for once, there are no noticeable performance issues. Maybe it's time all Unreal Engine games dropped the violence and shifted to more serene settings. Perhaps that would help them with improving their performance. As someone who thoroughly enjoyed watching the two documentaries that explored the inner workings of Double Fine Productions, this is actually the first game of theirs that I played to completion. If anything, it makes me want to go back and finish the many half complete games I left in the past: Broken Age, Psychonauts 1 and 2, and even older ones like Brutal Legend. And guess what? All of them are conveniently available on Xbox Game Pass, just like Keeper. Given the volatile situation that Xbox is in right now, I sincerely hope Keeper delivers whatever metrics Microsoft is looking for, because the world could definitely use more games from the talented team at Double Fine Productions. Thanks for watching.